rev up your engines. Forget about slowing down. It's all gas. It's no brakes on the podcast daily for Thursday. It's that man right over there. He's the difference. It's Anthony Schlegel. We've got him back, baby.
Let's go.
Schlegs, thanks again for joining us this season. It feels like forever since I've talked to you. What's been up, man? How are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing great, man. It's great to talk to you, Austin. It's great to be on the podcast. It's, I'm just down here in Jacksonville, Florida. I am the, I don't get paid for any of these positions, mind you, but I'm the strength coach for the varsity baseball team down here at my son's high school, which is super fun. And I get to melt their faces off in a positive way. Listen, if you're a bad spotter, that means you're a bad teammate. That means you're only caring about yourself, and I'm going to melt your face off in a positive manner for that. I get to spout off some things to them that they really need to hear. Then I'm also the associate assistant, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker coach for the junior high team, which
quality
is
control.
Great.
Quality control.
That's what I guess I'm James Laurinaitis, right? He's a graduate assistant. He's even above that.
That's right.
He's not even a quality control guy. So, that's super fun doing that with my sixth grader. And then I train my daughter who's in cheer and her friends in the neighborhood, and they got their own workout plan, and they come in here and turn on their country music and get bumpy in the shop. So, it's just fun, man. And guess what? Deer season's coming up September 30th. So I'm super excited for that. and we got Buckeye football. So
that's right.
Life is good, man. Like, as a matter of fact, I went to the beach the other day, and I don't remember what the name of this beach was, but we found it. It's about 40 minutes from my house. But you drive on the beach. Like, you just literally drive on it, and you find an open spot, and you take your stuff out of the back of your truck and you put it down. And it was amazing. Yeah. I mean, I was like, this is great. So
you might want to find out what the name was so you can get back. You don't want to, you found a spot that you like, you want to stick with it.
I just leave that to my wife. I'm like, you just tell me where to go. I'm there for you. All right. I'm there for you.
What country tunes are we banging on the way to the beach right now?
Man, I mean, I went and saw Morgan Wallen in concert at the stadium. That was pretty good. So my daughter really is a fan of his, and Hardy. So we rock those, and then I'll throw on some older country. They're like, what is this? I'm like, just listen, shut your mouth. So no, it's good.
Good. Well, I hope you got your tickets for the Buckeye Superfest next year with Zach Bryan and Turnpike Troubadours coming. But
nice.
On sale now. Get them
on sale now. Let's go.
But there are other people playing in the Horseshoe on Saturday. Ohio State and Youngstown State.
Let's go.
Schlegs, why is it? So Ohio State wins the opener 23-3.
Yes.
A 20-point Big Ten road win. I think Ohio State would take that just about any day of the week. But why is it, as a player or a coach, or maybe we can tackle both? Every year we hear the biggest leap, biggest jump, that's coming from week 1 to week 2. What causes that?
Well, to your point of road win, 20 points, was it the fashion in which we wanted, or the expectation that we have as Ohio State fans having a first-round draft pick quarterback for the last 2 years? No. There's a lot of really good things that we saw, and there were some things that need to be corrected. And that's why, there's a big jump between game 1 and game 2, because until you got to remember, like, Indiana had their entire camp, right, and all of spring ball to start preparing for Ohio State. It's not like they had a new coach. Mm-hmm. They know it. They have different personnel. And the new guys were going to be on the offensive line and the quarterback position. I mean, that's it. So that being said, the jump happens because all you've been doing all camp is playing against Ohio State defense. And sure, you get a look, right, when you go scout team to see what Indiana's doing, but it's never going to be able to be replicated. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was redshirted and I was running scout team back in 2003, I also was a, all conference and freshman All-American coming from Air Force. My entire job, I just wanted to smash our guys and make reads, because that's what they were going to do in the game.
Yeah. And
then I would get kicked out of practice by Bowles, and I would go work out and drink protein shakes and just be 255 pounds of glorious meat, So, but the jump comes because they saw something else. And how do you make those adjustments? And being able to articulate and communicate halftime adjustments. And I knew that I was frustrated, and I was tweeting some things because I'm flying on a plane at 35,000 feet on Southwest, paying my $8 for the intranet, and, a couple of Wild Turkey 101s deep. And
They hit you different at altitude. They get you.
Oh, no, it's great. No, it's great. It allows your fingers to move rapidly. Okay. So, the halftime adjustment, there's a lot of things that go into that, right? From a coach's perspective, they are an educator, they are a teacher. And so in the small amount of time that I have to be able to make those adjustments, I have to be doing a really, really good job of being able to communicate and teaching in the ways in which my guys communicate and teach. And when you have a veteran group of the 3 guys that left last year that are now all on active rosters, right? And absolute studs on the offensive line, that teaching is a little bit less because it's almost intuitive because they already know. And so then when you have a lot of fresh faces and younger guys now in the front row for the first time making those halftime adjustments, you yourself as a coach might have to adjust how you teach, or even during the week, the things that you have to bring in to be able to communicate those throughout the week to get better at it so they understand what your approach is. And that's, again, the familiarity of being in a game week and everything that goes into that. Now that you're in school and you have practice and you have your lifts and you're taking care of your body, and then going on game day and being able to then go execute at an elite level, those all are things that have to be adjusted, have to be accounted for. And that's what you want to see going from week 1 to week 2. The only difference that we're going to have in this one is that we're playing Youngstown State.
Right.
So are those adjustments going to be like as visible as they would be playing an older defense, a Tom Allen defense, and also a coordinator that came from Ohio State the year before that understood how to kind of game plan for a Ryan Day offense? No, It's going to be completely different because they have inferior athletes. Nothing against them. They're just Youngstown State. So there is going to be a jump in the execution. There 100% should be. If there's not, there is levels of concern, right? But it is Youngstown State. So I think the guys will be able to make those corrections. Bobby made a great point. And I really just want to, I want to see gas station ready earth movers, violent dudes on the front line. And they weren't getting moved back that we saw sometimes in the Michigan game last year. But my expectation is I just want to see that all the time. I don't want to roll out the silver bullet helmet and just be, leaners. I want to see earth movers. And that's on both sides of the ball. That's on the point of contact from a linebacker, right? Or even a running back, right? You want to see those things. So I think they will get corrected. We're not going to see them in light of what we actually want as a fan because of the level of competition that we have over the next 2 weeks. But hopefully they'll be able to start playing faster and less hesitant because they are more familiar with what they're supposed to do over the next 2 weeks to ultimately be ready to go into a hostile environment at Notre Dame.
Yeah. So what you're saying, Schleg's, they weren't losing the line of scrimmage. It wasn't getting pushed back, or vice versa for the rushmen. They weren't losing those individual matchups, but a stalemate is not how you win a national championship. You do have to move it the other direction, whether you're offensive or defensive line at some point. And you feel maybe that's correctable, not a talent issue. Where would you be on that?
No, it's correctable. I'll give you an example. When defenses, and this is, Pop Warner junior high defense, right? All you're trying to do is you're moving your linemen. Yeah, think about this. The offense knows the count. They know where they're trying to go. Well, how do you negate that? Well, you move yourself. Okay, so if they're angling into where you're running the football, the guy's going to be in there. It's going to be harder for that double team to get up to the second level. So that's where the technique side and also knowing the different things that they can do allow you to play faster. I can't hang on to this guy. I got to be able to get up and get a hat for a hat to allow my elite running back room to be able to make a cut and adjust off of me. Same thing defensively. What we're trying to do is we're trying to move so we can create holes and fits so our linebackers can be free runners. And 44 did a really nice job in that game, being able to attack downhill and find where the opening was to make a play in the backfield.
Yeah.
So you're going to see that. That's okay. But you just don't want to see it week in and week out. So that's where the coaching comes in and the emphasis. I will always say this too. The fundamentals of the game are always the fundamentals of the game. And it's always blocking and tackling and being violent with your hands. That's it. So those are things that are going to be hit on over the next 2 weeks because you can't negate them and just be about scheme and plays because you're gonna go downhill. Fundamentals are something that carry over all year long and should be applied all year.
So what was the difference as a player, Schlegs? Did you feel that from week 1 to week 2? I mean, the coaches talk about it all the time. Is it you get the game rust off, you
Yes.
get back out just doing that? Is that how you feel?
Well, I think there's games within the game, right? So there's the game week, the preparation that goes in the game week, your routine for the game, how you mentally prepare for the game. Do I need to watch more film? Do I need to do more tip sheets? Do I need to actually write down all these smaller nuances that I could potentially see on a game day? Maybe that's how I learned. I literally had a note card for every single defense that we had, or a page even. And on that page, I would draw up that defense in my alignment, my assignment, my adjustments, and my alerts predicated upon that formation. And then if they motion, what are the calls necessary? I'm speaking as a defensive person because I didn't play offense. Okay, now, Granted, my name growing up was Anthony Schlegel, fullback. All right. And that changed once I watched NFL's Greatest Hits and I learned who Dick Buckeyes was when I was about 5 or 6 years old. I became Anthony Schlegel, linebacker.
Yep.
But the key is that's how I learned. I learned from physically drawing it up and writing those things down. And that's how I embodied it. And then when I went to practice, I was able to draw upon that recollection and then go execute. And then once I was able to see it one time, I got it because I've already done all the mental prep. And most importantly, this is another side nugget to all you parents. Don't have your kids standing around at practice. I make every single linebacker stand back with me and we take a read step off of the running back because they have to know. And I'm trying to articulate to them, if we slant right or we slant left or we do a pinch or we do a stunt, where are the gaps filled? Linebackers play to light. We don't play to darkness. D-line has their pass. We play to light. So all of those things go into that and all those kids can get mental reps. But that's part of your preparation throughout the week. And so that's why I think this week, not only is it your game prep throughout the week and your training and your nutrition and balancing school, but it's also what you do on game day. And the more that you can digest throughout the week, the more that you can reflect and recall when coach makes an adjustment at halftime as to what needs to be done. But it's also on him to be able to make sure that he puts you in those situations throughout the week so that you can then make that adjustment. Because it's hard to recall something that you learned week 1 at camp when you're a young offensive line. That's true.
So you've mentioned the line play a few times, Schlegs. I take it that's where you think the biggest improvement needs to come. Are there other parts of this team that you looked at in week 1 that said, this is what I'd like to see by Notre Dame?
Well, I think the quarterback position and running the foot, like it all works together. I think that it wasn't the type of game that Ryan anticipated. I mean, again, we saw the clock rule. Until you play the clock rule in with live bullets and what everybody's going to do to Ohio State from now on, it's a possession type game. Sure. So the game stayed close. I feel that he believed that, Kyle McCord was his best weapon to get the ball vertical downfield, and he stuck with him as opposed to giving Devin Brown certain series because he wanted to get in the flow of the game, even with his own play calling of that, regardless of what anybody thinks about it. But the running of the football helps your quarterback, right? I mean, it's just simple, right? If we can go get those 3rd and shorts, like we could have, right? Guess what? That's just another opportunity for 3 plays. But when you don't and you get off the field, guess what? I just lost that. I lost that momentum. I lost that rhythm. And now we're starting over. So I think they all go hand in hand. The one thing that I do really feel confident about is our running back room. I think we have a stable of running backs. And whether or not everybody views as one guy as RB1, RB2, RB3, I don't really care right now. I care about once you get into, the Notre Dame. And actually, Chip did a really nice job. He has some great cuts. I saw him in there with Mayan as he was a fullback. I saw him in there go block a quarterback draw where, that's where you're kind of like, all right, if that's Devin Brown, who people perceive to be a better runner, does he just cut right as opposed to cutting left? You're like, well, he really didn't maintain his block. He did. He had body position. All he had to do was cut right, and he walks in for a touchdown. So you start to look at how they're trying to utilize Chip. Side nugget, parents, make your kids be football players. To me, Chip is a football player.
Yeah.
much like a Kyle Yurcik from the 49ers is a football player. Well, coaches want to get football players on the field. So that's how I kind of see him utilizing them a little bit. I'm just talking about week one. I'm anxious to see how this evolves throughout the season, but I think they're going to do that because they're the one on fourth down that they want to get to the flat. You just can't get knocked down, right? So all that being said, there's a lot of really good takeaways. You obviously know the wide receiver room is loaded. They can't have 5 receptions for 36 yards or 34 yards or whatever the case may be. Like that can't happen. It might have been 50 yards. I don't remember. But that can't happen, especially to those two. And Marvin ran out of bounds, and the throw that Kyle threw to him in the corner of the end zone was a great throw. Far hash all the way to the right side of the end zone. Great ball. He had one that Fleming right up the middle. Guy made a good play. And that might be from him. Hey, these guys, I'm not necessarily seeing that at practice. I got to get a little bit more air. I can't hesitate as long. Right, but there's some also really good throws. So I just think taking a step back, being able to digest, we're later in the week now, you can say, okay, there are some really good things. You got a 20-point win on the road versus a Big Ten opponent. There's some things that are correctable. Let's go correct them. And off we go to Youngstown State, Western Kentucky, to ultimately go to Notre Dame.
So one thing I like about us doing it later in the week, Schlegs, is that we can decompress a little bit from the urgency of Saturday or the wild turkey or the altitude or whatever it may be. And then we can start to preview. So like we did difference makers from the game last year.
Right.
This year, I think we need to take some difference makers, 3 that you're looking at. It'll be more fun when it's not Youngstown State, but if we're looking for somebody who's going to, maybe take that next step forward that you're looking for, maybe that's what's on your mind this week.
Well, when you look at a Youngstown State game, the Trestle Bowl, and on the Bobby Carpenter show with Bob and I are doing some stuff, and we're wearing tank tops, and I'm super juiced out of my mind.
You guys look gas station ready on that show, by the way.
You know what? Hey, got to, man. 42, man. Just keep it sexy, okay? Still lifting big, doing more plyometrics, working on more movement, but I can still lift heavy amounts of weight, okay? So just it's like for me, gas station ready is, can I still just go up to a bar and just deadlift 600 pounds? And the answer is yes. Depending upon the bar, it might be more. Like I even front squatted 405 the other day. I just haven't done that in a hot minute. I was like, you know what? I want to do it. So then I did it. And then I also did some barbell RDLs with like 455 for 5. Just, hey man, sometimes you just got to feel the steel so you can be gas station ready, Waffle House ready. But in this case, I'm not really going to focus on the starters. I'm just going to more focus on who I expect to see. And the number one, we saw Sonny Styles last game. I thought he did a really nice job. He's a freak of an athlete as far as like physically, his stature, but also his attributes. But just to see him develop more in this system, I'm also going to say CJ Hicks. We haven't seen a lot of CJ. I think he's a redshirt freshman.
Did not get enough action last year.
Right. So he's a redshirt freshman. He's behind, he's behind Steele. They got veteran linebackers. I expect him to play a lot because here's the other thing too. At some point during this season, depth is going to matter. And so now we were very fortunate. And part of this was Mickey Marotti in 2014 and the athletic training staff. But in 2014, 21 to 22 starters started the year and ended the year. And the only one that didn't was the quarterback position. But when you have that amount of health throughout the season, you're going to be better for it because it's a marathon, not a sprint. However, you got to have these young guys ready, and they're going to get a lot of live bullets over the next 2 weeks. So CJ is a guy that I'm anxious to see. He's 6'3", 230. He was a 5-star guy. He can play. He just has had some veteran guys, and whether or not people believe that veteran guys should play over guys that potentially may have more talent or not, it doesn't matter what you think. It matters what the coaches think. Okay, but I do want to see him, and I want to see him flash. Another one, too, is Carnell Tate. We've heard a lot about him. Marvin said he's, a lot further along than he was at this moment last year. Well, we're going to see him over the next couple of weeks.
Right.
The thing that's crazy, too, is whereas we're playing Youngstown State and Western Kentucky, and we want to see these guys, these other big-time programs are playing their dudes all the way into the third quarter. Why? Because they're going to get stats on these dudes, right? So that's also a fine line because Marvin only had 2 catches for 18 yards last week, so he's got to go get hers.
Can't win the Heisman like that.
No, you can't, man. No, you can't. And I thought the D line played really well. I'm looking forward to Hartford. getting some more reps this week. So, I mean, there's a lot of young guys. I always say, listen, look at the 2 deep, and that's who I'm expecting to have a really, really good game.
Yeah. These are big evaluation games, right? I mean, they saw all of camp, but sometimes that, as you said earlier on, like you're just going against the same stuff every single day. They're not live bullets. You've got to hit people. You've got to break tackles. You've got to, whatever side of the ball you're on. Like Youngstown State is not going to pose a real threat to win the game, but for Ohio State's backups, this is some of the most significant evaluation game film that for some of these guys, the first one that they'll ever have in their life.
And I'm going to tell you this too. And here's something Urban said this: greatness is the accumulation of great days. And though we saw a defense that only gave up 153 yards versus a Big Ten opponent, though that offense was searching itself, right? I mean, they had 2 new quarterbacks. They were trying to protect the quarterback from making mistakes. They're trying to chew up the clock. They're running the option out of the gun, which in and of itself, there's a dive responsibility. There's a quarterback responsibility. There's a pitch responsibility. Like, you have to play fundamental defense. We saw a lot of great things from our backside defensive ends, closing the gap so the quarterback couldn't cut back. Like, that was fantastic. But it's every single day that you're out there, that you're healthy, you have an opportunity of getting better.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that people get lost on. These coaches are the ones that are in there evaluating film on a daily basis. Though you're a young guy and though there's somebody that's older than you at your position, doesn't mean that you cannot close the gap at practice.
Okay.
It's facts. Greatness is the accumulation of great days. So every single day that I go out there, let's have a great day. I can digest this playbook, this defense a little bit better, or this offense or whatever. I carry that over to Wednesday. I carry that over to Thursday. When my number's called, I respond and I go make plays that I got to go make. And then maybe I make plays that you didn't think I was supposed to make, but I made them. Wow. Pencil that guy in. We do got to get him some more reps. They're the ones that are evaluating the tape on a daily basis. The players know and the coaches know. You're never going to be able to fool the players because they're there practicing every single day. But everybody has a responsibility and an opportunity to become better every single day. And that's being out there in practice, that's studying film. And ultimately it goes out there and performing on Saturdays. And this is a huge step for those young guys.
That's right. Every single day that we can talk to Anthony Schlegel on the podcast is a great day. And we are going to try and stack up greatness throughout the year.
Let's go, man.
Throughout the year, we're going to have Schlegs on Thursdays, thanks to the difference for loaning him out to us. Whoever makes those decisions,
no doubt.
Shout out to
I know
them.
a guy. Shout out to I know a guy that runs that deal. Yeah.
He's a dude now. He's Waffle House ready. So we're looking forward to this, and I appreciate Schlegs bringing that insight and the juice for every Thursday episode of the podcast daily this year. We appreciate you, Schlegs. We love you.
Appreciate you guys, man. Go Bucks.
All right. For Schlegs, I'm Austin. We will talk to you later.